have you ever loved someone who felt not entirely from this world? What would you give up for a love that was written in the stars, but never meant to stay? This is The Girl with Moonlight in Her Mouth by Embers in Time. Some love is too big for one lifetime, but even in the dark we find each other again. Love stories often begin in places filled with light, but this one begins in darkness. Ren was 15 the night he found her. Not a princess in a tower, not a girl from school, but a stranger collapsed in the woods, barefoot, bleeding, glowing faintly under the moon. He didn't remember her name, didn't know where she came from, but when she looked up at the moon, something made her weep. So he named her Hikari, Light. He brought her home, told his parents she was a runaway. They let her stay. And so began the strangest love story Onamira ever saw. One no one knew was happening. Days became weeks. She healed, but never fully. Her eyes never lost that faraway look. Hikari didn't know how to cook, didn't know how to use a phone, but she knew how to draw stars. She'd wake in the middle of the night to sketch constellations from memory. She said they whispered to her. Ren believed her. They were kids growing older, falling in love silently, in shared glances and in quiet meals. She gave him a gift once, a handmade constellation map. Each star had a story. Each one was a piece of her, and she drew them under the stars they made wishes on. "I think I am from the moon," she whispered one night. "That's why I can't stay." He thought it was poetry, until it started happening. Hikari began forgetting things. First, his name, then the smell of the trees. She'd wake up not recognizing the room, the town, her hands. Doctors couldn't explain it, but Ren knew she wasn't from here, and whatever world had lent her to him was slowly calling her back. She told him one night by the lake, "Your world is beautiful, but it's fading for me." He held her tighter. He thought love could anchor her, that if he stayed up every night reminding her, writing down their memories, maybe she'd stay. But the moon was growing fuller, and Hikari was growing dim. On the night she left, she gave him the map, but all the stars were blank. Ren searched for years, through books, folklore, even old monks who spoke of moon brides and borrowed souls. They said some children of the stars fall to earth to feel, to love, to remember what their world has forgotten. But they cannot stay. He never remarried. People asked, of course, quietly, gently, then with increasing concern, "Don't you want companionship? Someone to share your days with?" But how could he explain that his days were still filled with her, that his nights echoed with a silence only she had left behind? The town changed. New shops opened. The old forest road was paved over. And the lake where they once sat in silence became a popular wedding venue. Life moved forward like a current, swift and merciless, but he stayed. Each night he returned to their hill beneath the stars. the one where she once whispered to him, "Your world is beautiful, but it's fading for me." He kept her constellation map framed beside the window. Sometimes when the air turned electric and strange, usually around the full moon, he swore it glowed faintly. Once, the stars on the map even shifted position, just a flicker, just enough to make him believe. He stopped trying to explain such things, let people think he was mad. Maybe he was. Love had unraveled men in stranger ways. One evening, many years later, a storm rolled through the valley. The sky burned violet, then charcoal. The power went out, and in the silence, he lit a single candle and saw her. Not fully, just her outline in the mirror. A flash of the woman he had once found bleeding in the forest, her hair wet with starlight, her eyes distant but soft. She didn't speak. She just looked at him, and for a moment, the ache in his chest quieted. He placed his hand to the glass, and the candle flickered out. She was gone, but something had changed. The heaviness he carried for years shifted into something less cruel, as if her leaving had made space inside him for something sacred. Not joy, exactly, not peace, but meaning. That's how he knew she was still speaking, just not in the way he wanted. And maybe that was the most human thing of all. We love, we lose, and we hope desperately that our stories will carry the rest. This is Embers in Time, Narrator's Reflection. We hope you enjoyed our story. What is more tragic than love that can't stay? Not all love stories end with forever, but the ones that mark us the deepest becomes timeless. So tell us, have you ever loved someone who felt not entirely from this world? If so, share it in the comments. And if you are still healing, you are not alone. For more daily stories, like, comment, and subscribe to Embers in Time, Modern Stories with Ancient Roots.